Just when you thought you could lock in the release schedule for fall's holiday games, EA throws a wrench into the whole thing, announcing today that Battlefield 5 is getting delayed from October 19th all the way to November 20th, presumably to improve the game, as well as avoid the two juggernauts, Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, will this be enough to save the game, as recent reports are saying that the pre-orders for Battlefield 5 are 85% less than Call of Duty, or is this game just destined to be a failure? What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And I really haven't talked much about Battlefield 5 because there's this whole controversy surrounding the game, and I don't really like to talk politics on this channel. It's strictly a gaming thing. But EA delaying the game is significant news, and I want to talk about everything surrounding the decision to do that. So first up, we have the announcement here from Escobar Galberlson. I'm probably screwed your name up. I am so sorry. He's the general manager of DICE. And he goes on to say that today we're announcing that Battlefield 5 will have a new launch date, November 20th. 2018. I wanted to give you a little bit of insight into how we arrived at this new date. The next paragraph talks about how people played the open beta and that they were honored to receive the best multiplayer game at E3 and Gamescom. I don't know why they needed to throw that in there. They talk about how people like the increased focus on squad play and all the feedback from the betas. He goes on to say, we believe that we have one of the best Battlefield games ever on our hands. A game that will deliver on an emotional journey through the return of unseen single-player war stories, a deep multiplayer experience, Battle Royale, along with our new live service Tides of War, a journey across multiple theaters of World War II, designed to keep our community together. And he says, and that's why we're moving our launch date. We're going to take the time to continue to make some final adjustments to core gameplay and to ensure we really deliver on the potential of Tides of War. Now, it's pretty interesting that Battlefield 5 is getting delayed to November when people were concerned it was going to get the Titanfall 2 treatment. You guys remember a couple years ago, Titanfall 2 was the meat in the sandwich between Battlefield 1 and I believe Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and it suffered for it. Did not sell as well as the original, even though the original was on only Xbox, Xbox 360, and the PC. The second one came out on PlayStation 4 and apparently didn't sell as well as the original release. And EA didn't want to delay the game. They felt they needed to get it out of Call of Duty, and of course it suffered for this. Now Battlefield is a much, much bigger franchise than Titanfall is, and I thought it could stand its own in between Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption. You see, I think this is a kind of Hail Mary, so to speak, to get the game out from underneath the shadows of Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption into a 1 month period after, where maybe people are a little bit sick of Call of Duty, or maybe they're already done with the single player in Red Dead. Maybe they got their next paycheck and, hey, here's Battlefield 5 and, oh, it looks really good, and maybe some of the modes that weren't going to make it are going to make it. Either way, whatever the reason is, I think the true purpose is to get it out of the shadow of Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption. I talked about before how supposedly the pre-order sales are way lower than Call of Duty, and that's to be expected because ever since this game was revealed, it's been embroiled in controversy, and a large part of that is EA themselves. Now, ever since it was revealed and there was women in the game, people have kind of railed on the fact like, there's women in Battlefield and you must respect women and women in this and women that. Now, I don't really feel that everybody who hates and rails on Battlefield 5 is doing it because there's women in the game. Do I think it's a small minority? Yes, I think there are some people, a small subsection of people that are truly pissed that there's women in Battlefield 5, right? And there are definitely some people pissed that for what they see that EA is pushing an agenda. At least they see an agenda being pushed to be more diverse, to make women more prominent in the title. And some people like myself I don't care about that. I don't care that there's women in the game. I don't care that they're pushing an agenda, because I'm just gonna overlook the agenda, right? Now, the bigger issue here, in my opinion, is how EA has talked down about their audience regarding the whole situation. So not very long after the hashtag #NotMyBattlefield started trending on Twitter, and a very loud vocal minority of fans were demanding changes to Battlefield 5, Patrick Sutherland started making the rounds and doing interviews where he openly talked down about the fans that had concerns and kind of trivialized them. And with this point that I started looking cross-eyed, or at least side-eyed, at EA, wondering, what exactly were you doing here? You're not trying to put out a fire, you're making it spread. If you just would have avoided this whole thing, not said a word, it all could have potentially have blown over. You could have just showed off the game, showed off how amazing the single player and multiplayer were. Yeah, people would have come to accept the fact that there's, a Scottish woman with a cricket bat and a bionic arm in it, whatever, but people would have been won over by what was being shown off. However, you started basically getting down to the level of these trolls on Reddit, YouTube, and elsewhere. And this is where I strongly disagree with Patrick Sutherland, because you should never talk down about your fan base, even if you think you're on the right side of history. So, the initial backlash was laced with cries for historical accuracy about, oh, women weren't in World War II, or they definitely didn't have bionic arms, all that stuff. And Patrick Sutherland, he gave this interview where he said that these people who are uneducated, referring to Battlefield fans who were pissed off that there was women in the game, he says they don't understand that this is a plausible scenario. The common perception is that there were no women in World War II. There were a ton of women who both fought World War II and partook in the war. Even though that is true, there's a rich history of women fighting in the Second World War, from Russian sniper teams to the French resistance. But the fact that he had to call people and his customers uneducated really just helped this whole controversy reach another level. Now, it wasn't just about, oh, they want to be inclusive and have women. Now it's like, oh my god, we're directly attacking us. They are calling us dumb. They're calling us hillbillies, and we won't stand for that. He goes on to say that even if it's not a historical fact, Sutherland seems to argue that it would hardly matter. He says, listen, this is a game, and today gaming is gender diverse, which is the agenda that a lot of people are, say that EA is going after here, the whole gender inclusive thing that some people don't mind, like myself. I don't care at all. And some people hate that. Some people hate the fact that women have a more prominent role in gaming these days than when they grew up. He goes on to say that his team stands by their choice and won't take any flack for the decisions to include women in the game. And as for the game's detractors, well, he says, you have two choices. Either accept it or don't buy the game. I'm fine with either or. And that was where I was like, oh man, you are so getting fired. Because not only did you not, diffuse the whole situation, you made it worse. You made it worse by calling fans of Battlefield who had an issue dumb, uneducated, hicks. And then you said, I don't even care if you buy our game. I'm a millionaire. I made $20 billion in bonuses. Don't buy the game. I don't care. Whatever. I'm better than you. That's how at least it came across to me. And I'm a student of business. That's what I'm going to college for. And I'm like, oh my lord. This guy is not long for the company. And sure enough, not long after this, he leaves. And you have the reports saying that the pre-order bonuses or the pre-order sales are 85% less than, Call of Duty, that it's on pace to not sell as much as Battlefield 1. And now you reinvigorated all these people that were angry about the women and all that stuff. And now they feel they're in the right, even though they may be, they may not be. I don't particularly agree with them. But now, because you attack them, and now because the game's not selling as well as it should, you've put a target on them and basically said, hey, look what these people and this movement has done to my game. It's not going to do as well. And is Battlefield not doing well because of this whole controversy? I'm not so sure. You see, I am of the opinion that Battlefield 5 suffers from a lot of things. Yes, we just covered the controversy and everything that goes on, but I think Battlefield 5 also suffers from a terrible release date. Red Dead Redemption 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. They're going to take sales away from Battlefield 5 no matter what anybody says is going to happen. So I still think it's a smart move to delay the game a month. It's going to benefit from that. But more so than that, the marketing for this game has been absolutely horrendous. I have never been this apathetic about a Battlefield game in my life, and I've loved all the Battlefield games. I remember seeing Battlefield 1 for the first time being like, oh, now this is a change I can get behind. Because I was a little sick of the modern combat stuff at one point in time. But I see Battlefield 5 and I'm like, give me the modern combat, because I'm done with World War II. This has a whole been there, done that feeling to it. And I know people were embracing Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty World War II, but I think at this point in time, since we've gone back to that era, people realize, you know what? It was good we got away from this stuff, because it's boring, because we've done all the campaign missions, we've seen everything that World War II has to offer, you know? Like, go to the future, go to modern combat, which is what Battlefield excels at. It just kind of seems like a ripoff of World War II at this point in time. And you take all that stuff, combine it with the ongoing controversy, and you have a game that's destined to sell less than Battlefield 1, probably going to sell less than Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, might be the lowest selling Battlefield in quite some time. And really, at the end of the day, who do you have to blame for it? Yourself. You could have let everything just roll over. Everything would have just calmed down. You didn't have to attack your fans. This whole controversy would have been blown over and people would have loved Battlefield 5. But you made it worse, and in doing so, you jeopardized the sales potential that this game could have had. And now, part of the reasons why you're delaying it is because of that, as well as Red Dead, but now everybody thinks that you have no faith in your product. I don't know. Anyways, that's kind of my whole spiel around Battlefield 5. I'm still excited to check it out when it launches on November 20th. And for the record, I don't care about the whole controversy. I don't care that there's women in the game. I don't care that there's an agenda. I just want a really good video game to play. And hopefully I get that on November 20th. But I definitely do not agree with Patrick Sutherland when he calls his fans uneducated. And on this one, EA is going to get what they deserve. You reap what you sow. Anyways, guys, that is the video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you want to, hear more content like this. Share this out on Twitter. Hit the notification bell. All that good stuff. And I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.